8 reasons not to have a recount. Hey, it's Prince of Queens, and while most of us were enjoying time or arguing with our families about politics, distracted from any actual news, Jill Stein, the science-denying and severely underqualified candidate that polled in less than 1% of the vote nationally in the 2016 presidential election, very regrettably, a vote from me because I was naive enough to believe that my state might gather a few more for her and give a third party a chance to debate in 2020, Jill Stein began raising money for a recount to help her prior feminist nemesis, Hillary Clinton, potentially steal this election from Donald Trump by recounting the votes in 3 key states that Trump won: Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. This is not surprising in the least to expect from Clinton Incorporated, but it is fairly surprising that it came from Jill Stein as the originator of it. Perhaps she was threatened, perhaps she was promised a bunch of money, who really knows? Regardless, while most people are shrugging this off as a salty tantrum from Hillary Clinton's campaign, I am actually sincerely worried that it might happen. And I want to explain why I think it absolutely should not happen. Reason number 1, it's not the year 2000 when George W. Bush ran against Al Gore, and there was only one state that decided the outcome, which was Florida. I remember that election pretty vividly because it was the first election that I voted in, and I never thought Bush was going to win. And truthfully, I still suspect that he stole Florida because his brother Jeb Bush was the governor of Florida at the time, and I believe Jeb Bush promised him prior to the election that he would definitely win Florida, and then there was all this controversy and a recount. It was pretty weird. A lot of people feel that Al Gore didn't throw too much of a tantrum, likely not only because he conceded, but also likely because the Clintons threw him under the bus anyway because they have a long alliance with the Bush family. So maybe they didn't care. Regardless, that was a crazy circumstance. But this is not the same because of reason number 2, the absurdity of how the voter fraud was supposedly committed. Supposedly, according to the computer scientist Jill Stein cites, it's those pesky Russian hackers again. Let's say. Okay, so Clinton basically declared war with Russia during the debates, which ended with Russians apparently celebrating Trump's win in the streets of Moscow. That's what I heard. I haven't seen the footage. Now, she is attempting to overthrow this decision weeks later without any proof, further blaming it on Russia. Are we expecting Russia, or the rest of the world for that matter, to just be chill with the result if it is overturned? More so, well, I'm not sure about Wisconsin. Michigan apparently uses all paper ballots, and they counted them twice already anyway. So how could Russia hack that? Pennsylvania uses an outdated system that doesn't even connect to the internet and leaves no paper trail, so recounts are a nightmare there. Supposedly, a statewide recount has only happened a few times in Pennsylvania history, and the difference of votes was just a few hundred. But this time, Pennsylvania favored Trump by around 68,000 votes. So again, if Clinton wins at this point and blames it on Russian hackers, it's basically World War III for certain. Reason number 3 that this recount shouldn't happen is because of who is behind it. Also, why did it take so long? It's very suspect. I think I already made it fairly clear that Jill Stein being involved with this recount is inherently strange, but let's look at the voting rights attorney who is claiming voter fraud. John Bonifaz is the attorney claiming that some computer scientist thinks the outcome is rather fishy, basically, without giving any reasons why. John Bonifaz was a major player in George Soros' National Voting Rights Institute. Yes, the same George Soros who has donated at least $23 million to Clinton's campaign and has been a bit of a puppet master this entire election. Come on. Reason number 4 is rather simple. Why wasn't there any recount of any states during the primaries? There were endless allegations of voter fraud committed to disenfranchise Sanders voters in states like Arizona and numerous others, but of course, the people who objected to that accidentally shot themselves in the back of the head 27 times or whatever. Reason number 5 is probably the best reason not to have this recount behind the whole World War III thing, which is civil unrest. You see, it's bad enough that leftists are already protesting and being violent as a result of this election. But the shit will really hit the fan if Trump's supporters feel they have their president-elect's victory stolen from them. I have been very suspect of the supposed hate crimes and such coming from Trump supporters in the wake of this election, especially considering that we know for certain numerous of them have been fake, but I have legitimately noticed some super obnoxious Trump supporters online being jerks and gloating in the alt-left Facebook groups and stuff, as if we supported Clinton or something. Knowing that Trump has the support of most gun owners, what happens if his supporters are mobilized in the same way his opponents currently are? Call me alarmist, but I don't think it is ridiculous to say that this could lead to a civil war in the United States. A civil war simultaneous to World War III. We're fighting Russia and we're fighting ourselves. We're fucked. Reason number 6 to oppose this recount is that both Obama and CNN urge against it. Both our current president, who has mocked Trump in the past and supported Hillary Clinton in this election, is saying it shouldn't happen, along with CNN, who was flagrantly biased towards Clinton this whole election. Really think about what that means and check out both of these articles I am showing. Reason number 7 is simply the obvious hypocrisy from Hillary Clinton. Didn't she say that fighting for a recount would threaten our democracy or whatever? I am definitely not completely against recounts in the way that she described because I am under the impression that voter fraud has probably decided the outcome of a few elections. However, I imagine Clinton was merely saying that because she was so sure that she would win, and maybe also because she knew she was going to commit voter fraud the whole time anyway. Reason number 8 is that in terms of this election, the popular vote is irrelevant. I know, the popular vote. Shut up. If she truly even did win the popular vote, it still doesn't really matter, and it's suspect that she did. You see, as Scott Adams said so eloquently on Joe Rogan's show, Clinton winning the popular vote simply means she won the game they weren't actually playing. If Trump was simply looking for a popular vote, he would have run his campaign in an entirely different way. He was speaking very directly in his speeches to red states because that was what he needed to do to win. And he won. His lifelong political record is socially that of a Democrat, basically. So he undoubtedly would have sounded a lot different if he were simply trying to please the numbers of the nation as a whole. Instead, his campaign targeted the states he needed to win. That said, if we want to play the electoral college game, we can still look at things like the fact that Clinton won states like Nevada with far more narrow of a margin than Trump won Pennsylvania. So why is it just these 3 states that they are investigating? It is pathetic and absurd. Don't buy into this nonsense. If you do, you're a fool. Drop me a comment and stay tuned.